Hi, welcome to the Lady Vansittart and Bee Watercolor Workshop. I am Janice Alster, and you'll meet me at the class. I spend most of my time, or a lot of my time, at Magnolia Plantation and Gardens photographing beautiful camellias so that I can paint them. This is a photograph of a Lady Vansittart and a bee, and I composited them together in a program called Procreate. If anyone would like to see that on Saturday, I'll demonstrate on how I did that. Here are some notes about the materials, paints, and supplies. The biggest takeaway from this is your paints are important, but the paints that you have and can use are probably the best paints you could use. As you paint more and more, you will discover paints that you like, and you'll add those to your collection. And I think that's perfectly normal and a natural way to evolve. You start with your student paints and then build on those. Excuse me. As you can see, as we progress through the painting during class, we'll go from light to dark. So you won't see a lot happening initially, and the next part of this video shows that after I printed my pattern on a piece of 8.5 by 11 paper, I used an HB pencil to transfer it, and I used a very old school method. I turned the paper over and I just applied some lead using the side of my pencil. I covered the entire part where the pattern is, and I'm going to speed this up in just a few seconds here. You don't need to watch me do all of this. I just wanted you to know this is a way to do it if you don't have a projector. So it's going to speed up here in a minute, and we'll get through this. Then I'll talk about the next step, because I wanted you to see how your surface was prepared before the class started. There we go in fast forward mode. Then when you get it all done, you tape it down so it won't move, because now we're going to go into the transfer part of this. And I'd use another old school tool. This is called a stencil tool. You can pick them up at Michael's or any art supply store. And you just go over the pattern lines. And what this does is transfer the pattern to your watercolor paper. So you just go over the whole thing. And I've speeded it up. You don't need to watch me to do the whole thing in detail. Just know that, how does the pattern get transferred. Now you'll notice I keep pulling it up and checking. As long as I have that top edge tape, I can do that. And if you even needed to apply more pencil, you could. Now the next step, I use a micron pen. A micron pen is a very nice pen, and the main reason it's so nice for watercolor is it's waterproof. So once we apply this ink out of our micron pen, it's permanent, and we can paint over it with our water and our watercolors, and it won't lift or smear or anything. It's just wonderful. So I do the whole thing, and I'm going to speed this up again. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can slow it down. You can go in and change the speed if you need to watch some of the detail. So it's going to speed up here. So after I get it transferred, then I mix my paints, and we'll talk about that, and I'll demonstrate in the course. And then we start applying them. And in general, like I stated before, we're going to start with really light mixes and light colors and build. And you'll notice even during this video and in class that I move around a lot. And you may say, well, Janice, why don't you just focus on one part and finish? Well, there's a reason. If the paint is still wet and we paint adjacent to it, those pigments are going to want to mix. So we have to be a little bit strategic in how we move around and give the paint that we've just put on there some dry time. And as long as we're patient and do that, we shouldn't have any problems. We should be able to finish this 8 by 10 in the time that we've allotted. The rest of this video is going to show the painting portion, I do believe up through the end. The only thing I'm going to do different in the class is we're going to paint the sky before we paint the bee. And I think that'll just make everything easier. I'll have some finished painting pieces that we can look at in class as reference, but there's no better reference material than the photograph, so I want to, if you haven't already received them, I'm going to email those out so you can have them on your digital devices. I don't plan on printing them, so what you want to do is bring a digital device with you, either a phone or an iPad, so you can look at it. So you continue watching this as you wish, or just be aware that of how we go from light to dark. And don't forget, you can change the speed if you want to slow this down and look at it. If you're on YouTube, there's a little setting up usually in the top right corner. You can click on the three little dots, it'll drop down and you can slow this thing down. That's all I have. You guys can view this if you want, and I'll see you on Saturday.